Here we go again with another challenge. Today I'll be playing through Pokemon Yellow with only a single Tentacool. Tentacool is not the worst when it comes to stats in Generation 1. Luckily it gets a full 100 in Special and 70 in Speed. This Speed stat is going to really help us outspeed opponents, and this massive Special stat will help us tank powerful moves from Pokemon like Alakazam and Hypno. Tentacool's learn set through level up is not particularly inspiring. We get Water Gun, a base 40 power move at level 22, and this is our only special move that we have access to until level 48 when we get Hydro Pump. I probably won't even teach Hydro Pump to Tentacool just because of its accuracy. I prefer things that will be very consistent and always hit the opponent. As Barrier is a stat raising move, it opens up the world of badge boost strategies to us. These strategies have really made other runs possible for me, so it's key to see if I have access to it first at the start. Finally, through TM and HMs, the world really opens up to Tentacool. We have access to moves from a decently wide range of types. Swords Dance, Double Edge, Bubble Beam, Ice Beam, Mega Drain, Rest, and Surf all might come in handy. So let's go over the rules for this run. I will use only Tentacool in battle. I'll be permitted to use other Pokemon for HMs in order to progress through the game. No items will be used in battle. I'll use Pokeballs to catch other Pokemon for HM use only. And finally, no glitches or exploits other than the badge boost glitch. If I had to make a prediction, I'd say this run is going to be one of the easier runs I've done so far. While Butterfree and Beedrill have overall higher stats, I think that Tentacool's extremely high special will make Generation 1 feel significantly easier. Access to moves like Ice Beam are going to make Lance much easier to deal with. If I was a betting man, I'd say that Brock, Sabrina, and Lorelei will be the hardest fights for Tentacool. Since Butterfree and Beedrill were able to beat this challenge in the mid-70s, I think Tentacool will be the same, perhaps defeating the champion around level 76 or 78. I'm writing this script before I start the challenge, so I have no idea how this is going to go yet. Let me know how you think it will go in the comments below. Now, let's get into it. The first rival fight went surprisingly well. I only get Acid, so there really only is one strategy to use in this battle. My first use of Acid triggers a defense drop, which makes the rest of the fight much easier. In Generation 1, poison moves are all based on your attack stat, so they're physical. Unfortunately, that does mean that I'll never have a particularly hard hitting poison move, but that's okay. I think I'll mostly be using water type moves throughout this run. When I win, I get experience and I don't level up. This means that Tentacool is part of the slow level group. This could actually be really annoying. With a move like Acid and a slow level up rate, this is probably going to make Brock pretty hard to beat. It'll also probably require a lot of grinding on my part. I'm certainly right on that point. Check out my first attempt against him. I honestly am doing worse than Butterfree without special moves. At least in that fight I was able to poison him. Looks like I've got to make a trip back to Viridian Forest to train. Even though I wasn't able to beat him, this is pretty promising. The reason I couldn't win was because I didn't have enough health. I need to level up to increase my health and then come back. My part poison type really helps me here, as in Yellow version, Viridian Forest is populated by mostly Caterpie and Metapod. When I level up, I get access to Wrap, and due to my speed, I head back to face him again. Perhaps the trolley Wrap strategy will work out here. I outspeed him, so I trap him in Wrap. However, that doesn't really make things fun. That makes things long and awful. The strategy versus Geodude is incredibly simple. Use Wrap. When Wrap is done, use Wrap again. Hopefully you just don't miss and you keep hitting him. I'm also trying a new editing process for this video, so all the key fights will be played at regular game speed. This is going to make the viewing experience for you better and give me a bit more flexibility to take these scripts in engaging and dramatic directions. Needless to say, because I'm trying this, it made my Wrap strategy very painful to execute. This fight took a full 3 minutes in real life. Versus Onix, the strategy changes a little bit. Now I want to use Supersonic first in order to try to prevent Brock from using Bind. In this game, Onix actually doesn't have Bide. Bide has been replaced with Bind, which actually is much more devastating. Bind is basically just another version of Wrap. So we're gonna hope that it doesn't get a chance to use that. It's nice when Wrap locks them in for 4 to 5 turns, but that doesn't always happen. As I was playing through this fight, I realized that I might actually run out of PP for Wrap, and I did at the end of the fight. Luckily, I had already brought Onyx down so low in health that I can just switch to Acid, and after a few turns, victory is mine. From here, I head to Mount Moon and grab TM12, which is Water Gun. Now that we've got 2 stab moves, things should be a lot better. In Generation 1, Poison type is a physical move, as I've noted before. Obviously, since Tentacool doesn't have a particularly high attack stat, it's nice to be able to switch over to a special move and utilize Tentacool's significantly higher special stat. The rival fight on Nugget Bridge is up next. He leads with Spearow in yellow, and I start the fight off with Water Gun. I outspeed and nearly take it out in 1 hit. It retaliates with Peck and does a bit of damage before I take him down the next turn. Sandshrew is next, and I don't anticipate any issues here. We've got a solid type advantage, high special, and a new move to try out. It's a 1-hit. Rattata is a joke at this point. It doesn't have high special and is severely underleveled, so I'm able to take him out with a single Water Gun as well. Eevee is last. I wish I could have got my rival to pick Bulbasaur, but unfortunately that would make other points of this run easier if I played red. I've become unhappy with the glitches that Dragonite has in the Elite Four with its spamming barrier over and over versus poison types. Luckily in yellow this isn't an issue as they completely redid Dragonite's moveset. Eevee goes down and I've defeated the rival for the 2nd time. I'm not sure that if I used the randomizer to give my rival Bulbasaur, I don't think that it would evolve throughout the rest of the fights in the game, so because of that reason I just decided to go ahead and face a rival that has Eevee. If it is different and you can actually select Bulbasaur for your rival in yellow, please let me know in the comments below because I'd love to be able to make runs in the future a little bit harder. Nugget Bridge has a couple things that I need to do. After defeating the Rocket Grunt at the top of the bridge, I pick up Charmander. Charmander is incredibly useful as it can learn Cut, which we need for Surge, and it can later learn Strength, which will be required for Victory Road. After grabbing the Charmander, I pick up the elixir that's hidden behind this hiker. I want to have 4 elixirs going into the Elite Four. This will give the opportunity to use moves that don't have a lot of PP, like Ice Beam, without having to worry about running out. Misty is next. I'm pretty worried about her since I don't have a type advantage. While Starmie does have a type advantage against us, it doesn't actually know any psychic moves, so that really helps. Staryu's never an issue. I use Acid and it does really good damage. Unfortunately, my second use of Acid doesn't take it out. I take a bit of damage in this fight, and taking any damage before Starmie is really scary. Once Starmie comes out, I use Supersonic first to try to prevent Starmie from getting any moves off. It hits itself in confusion the first turn, allowing me to move over to Wrap. Starmie does outspeed us, so this is a bit scary. Luckily its tackle doesn't do significant damage to us each time it hits us. As Misty starts to set up a lot of hardens, I switch over to using Water Gun, which actually does a lot more damage than I expected to. And with that we've got our second badge and TM11. I should have just taught it right away, but I sort of forgot. Oops. It's really important that we get a better move because Surge is next. His electric Raichu is going to be very hard to take out. Now let's talk about the SSN. There are some items that are very important to grab when you're doing a Pokemon challenge like this. If you forget and the ship sails away, you won't have access to them for the rest of the game. The items that are key to pick up are TM44, which is the TM for rest, and the rare candy that is available just before the rival. TM08 is also here, which is Body Slam, but for Tentacool it isn't required. I'm still going to fight almost everyone. Our slow level group and the fact that Surge is next really makes me want to level up as much as possible right now. So after leveling up a bit in the SSN, we take on the rival. So let's see how awesome Bubble Beam is. Spearow comes out first and I use, you guessed it, Bubble Beam. It takes the Spearow down. Can I keep it up? Rattata goes down in a single hit. Sandshrew goes down in a single hit. What about Eevee? I remember playing Yellow as a kid and Eevee always felt so strong. Not this time. Bubble Beam takes it down in a single hit. I knew this fight was going to be trivial, but now I have to take Surge on. He's certainly not going to be trivial. I think we're going to need some luck to get past him. In Surge's gym, I decided to take all the trainers on to get a sense of how Tentacool would do versus electric type Pokemon. Honestly, it wasn't a very accurate test though, since no one has a Raichu or even a powerful electric type Pokemon. Surge only has one Pokemon in Pokemon Yellow version, Raichu. I open with Supersonic to try to cause Raichu to miss some of his attacks. Thunderbolt will probably deal more than half of our HP, and I get into the second turn without taking any damage. From here I hit him with Bubble Beam, and since electric doesn't resist water, it deals half damage. Unfortunately, he does hit a Thunderbolt next turn, and yikes, it does a lot of damage. I can't live through 2 of those. My second Bubble Beam does just enough damage to take him out. I'm glad I was able to secure victory on my first fight. I think this is a pretty replicable result, as I just need to get him to hit himself in confusion once in order to pull it off. Next is Rock Tunnel, and I already feel how annoying Slowpoke are. Since I'm a special attacker, they don't go down in one hit, and this is only going to get worse at the Slowbro fight with Lorelei. Amnesia is brutal. I'm not looking forward to that. As I'm a special attacker, the hikers in this cave are no issue at all. I'm glad I don't have to think about the self-destruct hiker at the end of this cave this time. It doesn't even matter that I forgot to save right before him. On my way to Celadon, I fight all the trainers available. Might as well get some extra experience points. Upon arriving in Celadon, there are some errands that you should run. Grab 2 fresh waters, one of them for the guards at Saffron City, and the other one for this little girl on the floor of the mart. She'll give you the TM for Ice Beam in exchange. Honestly, I sort of feel like I ripped her off. This fresh water only cost 200 Poké-Dollars. Right after that, I catch myself a Fearow and grab HM02 so that moving around the map will be faster and more efficient. I'm an INTJ personality type, and I'm obsessed with improving efficiency in any way possible. Fly is my favorite HM by far. Except in battle. In battle it's really awful, it just wastes so much time. I decide to go to Erika next, since I have a poison type move. I'm feeling pretty confident going into this gym, but then one of the trainers starts to really piss me off. If you get paralyzed, then Bellsprout outspeeds you, and will use the wrap strategy against you. I actually lost twice trying to take down the same trainer. In the end, I just ended up skipping most of the trainers and moving on to Erika right away. She leads with Tangela, and I open with Acid. It doesn't do as much as I thought it would. I guess this is the revenge of Tentacool's low attack stat. Unfortunately, in Yellow, Tangela has Mega Drain, so it can actually deal some damage to us. A couple acids later and Weepinbell comes out. I luck out and its defense falls, but I quickly realize that this fight isn't going well at all. After it paralyzes me, it's all over. Okay, let's try again. The Tangela fight turns out similar to the last fight, with me losing a small amount of health. I confuse Weepinbell in order to avoid some Razor Leafs, however it retaliates with Sleep. Again, this isn't going well. It paralyzes me before it goes down. That's going to make the Gloom incredibly challenging. Gloom outspeeds and uses Petal Dance. That's it for this fight. Even though it didn't take me out, there's no way for me to one-hit it, so the successive hit from Petal Dance KOs me. A thought dawns on me at this point. Ice is super effective against rock, ground, and grass Pokemon. Giovanni and Erika both have those types, so I teach Ice Beam to Tentacool right away. It was hard to decide what to give up for this move, but in the end I think Acid will be the least useful. I hope that this special move will be able to deal significantly more damage to her grass-type Pokemon and leverage my special stat a bit more effectively. So let's see how Ice Beam will do against her. Tangela goes down. Weepinbell goes down. Am I gonna one-hit them all? Gloom also goes down. Whoa, that was really easy this time. Tentacool really does have an awesome special stat. Giovanni is probably gonna feel so trivial now. In Rocket Hideout, make sure you grab the hidden PP up, TM10, which is Double Edge, and the rare candy on the lowest spinning maze. These items I grab for every single challenge I do, and are pretty useful. I'll be using the PP up very soon on Ice Beam to increase its PP. Ice Beam makes Giovanni so easy. All 3 of his Pokemon go down in fast succession to single uses of Ice Beam each. I'm really happy I didn't go train instead of rematching Erika. At this point, the run is starting to fly by. Check out the rival fight at Pokemon Tower. While this rival fight in general is pretty easy, the last run I did, I had a terrible time with it. Poor little Lettuce the Oddish struggled so much. So I think I have that stuck in my head. After defeating the rival, don't forget to grab the elixir on your way up to the top of the tower. Marowak is an easy one hit with Ice Beam, and Jesse and James don't stand a chance. Funny enough, their wheezing always seems to live through whatever I throw at it. Doesn't help that it has a terrible moveset, so it usually just uses Tackle before going down. After grabbing the Pokeflute, I head to Cycling Road. On Cycling Road, there is another PP up that's hidden. I really want to grab this. PP up are so useful, and there are only 5 in total in Kanto. 2 of them are much more out of the way and will be unlikely to ever get them. One of those is in the power plant, and the other one is on the alternative route to Fuchsia City. Both are hidden items. Once I arrive at Fuchsia, I immediately do the Safari Zone. When I was a kid, I was always so excited to get to this point in the game. The Safari Zone was so much fun. It was always thrilling running into a really rare Pokemon and getting the adrenaline rush of throwing Pokeballs at it until it ran away. Now the Safari Zone is honestly just a chore that I have to do every time I do one of these challenges. You just use repels and run through everything until you finally get the Gold Teeth, Double Team, and Surf. With that out of the way, I take on the Juggler in Koga's gym. This Juggler wasn't as bad as I expected him to be. Nice. That isn't the case for Koga. His first overleveled Venonat doesn't go down in a single Ice Beam. It then hits a super effective Psychic, and from here I know where this fight is going. In addition to the Psychic doing a lot of damage to me, it also lowered my special, which means it's going to be even harder to take out the rest of his Pokemon. I crit the next Venonat and take it out in one hit. But the third Venonat lowers my special again and finally knocks me out. I didn't even get to Venomoth. This is really bad. I think I should head back to Saffron and do Silph Co first. I actually really like playing through Silph Co. It's a relaxing section in the run where you just go and level up, grab items, and crush a bunch of awful trainers. Of course, at the end of it all, there's the notorious rival Fivel. While he's sometimes hard, I typically am not so scared going into this fight. I tend to be more scared for Lorelei every run I do. She's one of the toughest opponents no matter what Pokemon you have. One last comment about Silph is there is actually a hidden elixir in this plant. Make sure to grab it just because you have to go past it every game. Rival Fivel leads with Sandslash. This isn't an issue for Tentacool, and Ice Beam takes it out in one hit. Now things start to get worse for us. Cloyster's up next, and this one is really annoying. So Supersonic is clearly a Psychic move in Generation 1. Cloyster's AI just keeps spamming it against us. Right now that's the only conclusion that I have for this move. More annoying than the constant spam is the fact that I hit myself in confusion 3 times in a row. This luck was so bad. I can't believe how awful that was. To make matters worse, Cloyster is a 3-hitter with Bubble Beam, so this is going to be really annoying. Magneton is next, and this is not looking good. Luckily I don't hit myself in confusion, but Thunder Shock does decent damage. Tentacool's confusion ends, and I manage to take out Magneton. Thankfully, Magneton only takes 2 hits, but Kadabra is a run ender. We hit it for pretty good damage, but since we don't have a physical move, it doesn't go down. The retaliatory Psybeam is more than enough to take us out. Next attempt. Call me crazy, but I believe we can do it. Sandslash goes down in a single Ice Beam. I'm 100% sure this isn't a range. After that, I hit Cloyster with Bubble Beam. He lands a Supersonic, and oh my gosh, I hit myself in confusion again. Luckily, I only hit myself once this time, so I'm going to be able to move on to Magneton with better health. Unfortunately, I'm still confused, and I hit myself once again before it deals good damage with a Thunder Shock. The next turn, it gets a critical hit. I'm in the same position I was in before, fighting Kadabra with very little health. Okay, if I get a bit of better luck here, I think I can do it. One more attempt. I also want to switch towards Supersonic versus Cloyster. Maybe if I'm really lucky, I can make it out of that fight without being confused or damaged at all. Final attempt before I give up and level a bit more. Unfortunately, my strategy against Cloyster doesn't pan out, and I end up confused and 1 turn behind. Oh well, I guess next time it makes sense to just start with Bubble Beam. Magneton comes out next and hits me with a Thunder Shock. I think this one dealt more damage than the previous ones. How is that fair? This time I switch to Bubble Beam vs Kadabra and it deals the typical amount of damage. Luckily, I have enough health to tank his confusion and move on to the final Pokemon. Now I really lucked out here. Eevee evolved into Flareon. I heard somewhere that you can actually determine what he evolves into. Do any of you know how to do that? I'm curious for my next run as I'd like him to evolve into a Pokemon that I'd be weak to. In any case, I take it out with a single Bubble Beam and I can go grab Lapras next. So you may have noticed that I didn't teach Tentacool Surf right away. You might be screaming to yourself, this fight would be so much easier with Surf. Well, this is really a silly mistake. I actually didn't realize until I tried to teach Surf to Lapras and I was like, oh yeah, Surf is a lot better than Bubble Beam. That might actually have made this rival fight very trivial if I had remembered. It's just so hard to remember when you typically want to avoid HM moves at all costs. I haven't done a run in Yellow before with a Pokemon that was Water type, so I've just never had to use Surf as an attacking move. Jesse and James are next, and I tried with all my might to make this fight hard. Look, I didn't even heal. I only have orange health, but unfortunately for them, Tentacool can one-hit Weezing, Arbok, and Meowth with Ice Beam. It's pretty bad when two fully evolved Pokemon are getting one hit by one small grumpy jellyfish. Now, I honestly just forget to heal before Giovanni. I'm not going to pretend that this one was on purpose. After all, he does have a Nidoqueen and this might be scary. Turns out none of his Pokemon are scary. I one-hit each and every one of them. It's so incredible how strong Ice Beam is in Generation 1. So at this point I went for a hike with my girlfriend, and when I came back I sort of forgot where I was in this challenge. I guess Sabrina's next, so let's go take her on. My strategy here is straightforward. I want to see how much damage I can deal as fast as possible. Both Abra and Kadabra are annoying since they know moves that can lower your accuracy. This sort of thing is very awful when Alakazam is going to have some seriously devastating psychic moves. Abra goes down in 2 hits, and luckily Sabrina uses an X-Defend on it so I didn't get hit with Flash. That's a bonus. Unfortunately, Kadabra opens with Kinesis, and it starts to mess up my accuracy. On the second turn, it hits another Kinesis, and then switches into using Recover. As it heals itself, it buys more time and again switches back into Kinesis. If I ever get to Alakazam, it's going to be so hard to even damage it. Finally, I take out the Kadabra, and Alakazam outspeeds me and uses Psychic. I'm sure I'll hold on. My special is high. Guess not. This isn't good. I come back after having taught Tentacool Double Edge. Perhaps a strong physical move will make things easier. Abra is a one-hit, so that's really promising. Kadabra outspeeds me and uses Psychic. I thought it didn't know Psychic. Why did it just spam Kinesis and Recover the last time? Last time was so trolly and this time it just one-hits me? Great. Time to journey around Kanto and level up as much as possible. This gives me a chance to grab a few extra items such as a PP up. As I was trying to fight trainers to the south of Fuchsia City, I realized that I actually hadn't beaten Koga yet. So let's go and get that done. Koga leads with his level 44 Venonat. The last time I was fighting Koga, things didn't go so well. But this time, it's going to be a lot different. I've leveled up a lot and taught Tentacool many new moves. Venonat number 1 goes down in a single hit. Each new Venonat is 2 levels higher than the previous one, so let's hope that this trend continues. The second Venonat is also a one-hit. Okay, things are looking good now. The third one is another one-hit. Okay, really good. Let's hope Venomoth can't one-hit us with Psychic. Venomoth comes out and we hit it with a quick Surf, taking it into mid-orange health. It hits us with the Psychic, but that doesn't even bring us into orange health. Since we outspeed, the fight is over next turn. I kinda wish I had come back to this gym at a slightly lower level because this fight was really easy. Oh well, let's head back to Sabrina now that we've leveled up a bunch. Maybe, just maybe, I can get past the Alakazam. Abra starts the show off and I decide to play with fire and try to set up some barriers versus it. This is really risky since he can use Flash to make our accuracy absolutely trash. Luckily my first barrier goes off and Sabrina uses an X-Defend. So far so good. I go for a second barrier and the Abra uses Flash, but it fails. I don't want to risk it anymore, so I switch into Double Edge to take the Abra down, ASAP, before it gets a chance to use Flash again. It's worth noting that Barrier triggered the badge boost glitch twice, which raised both our attack and speed. This is what will hopefully allow me to outspeed the Alakazam and get a double edge off first. Kadabra gets outsped by Tentacool and goes down to a single double edge. Okay, please just get one hit. I really need Alakazam to not hit me with a Psychic. All of this recoil damage has really stacked up. I don't think that I can take any attacks from the Alakazam. I actually managed to outspeed the level 50 Alakazam and hit it for massive damage with double edge. However, in bad news, it doesn't faint. It goes for recover and heals itself. I'm not sure if the AI chooses its move after damage is dealt, but it really felt like that in this case. Maybe it would have used Psychic if I didn't do any damage to it. Does anyone know if this is the case? Does AI move selection work the same way that AI item usage does? Put it in the comments below if you've got an answer. The rest of the gym challenge is going to be so easy from here. We've got fire and ground type gym leaders left. Tentacool is just going to breeze through this. I actually think that I can hit every Pokemon that is left before the next rival fight. Let's see if we can do it. The 4 Pokemon I'm not entirely sure about are Arcanine, Persian, Nidoqueen, and Nidoking. Ninetales is Blaine's first Pokemon, and Surf easily one-shots it. Rapidash is next, and I don't expect it to survive a single Surf. It doesn't. Arcanine has been hard to one-hit in previous runs, but this time it's a one-hit. Blaine is done, and we can move on to Giovanni. Dugtrio's not going to survive as it has low special. Persian, on the other hand, isn't going to take super effective damage, so I'm a bit worried. But I do have Stab with Surf, good special, and a decent move power on my side. I one-shot the evil cat. Next, onto the Nidos. Nidoqueen will take super effective damage, and I've changed my mind. I'm absolutely going to one-hit all of these Pokemon. Nidoqueen goes down. Nidoking goes down. And finally, Rhydon, the worst nightmare of bug-type Pokemon and my childhood worst enemy. Surf makes quick work of him, and it's off to Victory Road. On the way to Victory Road, we get stopped by our rival for the last showdown before the league. This fight can be pretty hard, so I'm not really sure what to expect. Tentacool has powerful moves, and the rival isn't programmed to have an Alakazam at this point. The rival leads with Sandslash. I've never found Sandslash to be a particularly intimidating Pokemon. I wonder why the developers chose to give him it as the lead of his team. I make quick work of it, and next up is Execute. Why doesn't he have an Executor? While the gym leaders in general got better Pokemon in Yellow, the rival does seem to be significantly worse. Cloyster is really annoying though. It still thinks that Supersonic is the best move to use versus us, and I end up hitting myself in confusion 2 turns in a row before I finally snap out and put an end to the Cloyster. I forgot that the rival gets a Magneton. This Pokemon has been really challenging in the past. Luckily, it goes down from a single hit from Surf. The last 2 Pokemon I don't expect to be particularly challenging. Since Kadabra hasn't evolved yet, I outspeed with a single double edge. Finally, it's Flareon, the worst possible evolution to choose when you know that I'm going to use only Tentacool. Lorelei. If we just think about this fight, what does logic tell us will be the best strategy? Dugong knows Rest, and since we're a poison type, it may decide to simply spam that against us. Again, the AI is better in Yellow only because key Pokemon like Lance's Dragonite have revised movesets. The AI itself still functions the exact same way, always prioritizing type effectiveness, regardless of if it's a damaging move or not. Since Dugong may not attack us, it might make sense to set up 3 barriers against it before taking it down. After that, we have to deal with another Cloyster. While looking at this breakdown of Lorelei's Pokemon, I'm realizing that Supersonic isn't actually a Psychic move. So why is it only using Supersonic versus us? The answer is pretty simple. If we look at the rival's moveset, we see that Cloyster only knows Water, Ice, and normal moves. Since both Water and Ice are not very effective against Tentacool's Water typing, the rival is choosing to use Supersonic. It's really fun to learn something new about a game that is over 20 years old. This gives us key insight into what Lorelei's moves will be. When fighting against Dugong, she's likely going to use Rest every turn. because the AI believes that it's super effective against our poison typing. Cloyster will either spam Supersonic or Spike Cannon, because it's a normal type move and they're neutrally effective. The other two moves are not very effective. Slowbro will use Amnesia or Psychic. That's actually going to be really tough. If it sets up and doesn't go down in 2 hits, and then retaliates with a Psychic, things could be very bad very fast. Jinx is a bit of a wild card as it knows 3 normal type moves. I just hope I outspeed it since I'm 100% sure that Double Edge will take it down in a single hit. Finally is Lapras, and it would stand to reason that it will consistently select the move Body Slam. I think we can live through it, but there's a chance to paralyze, so it's going to be a bit unpredictable. Alright, let's see how I did predicting this. Lorelei opens with Dugong, and I begin to set up with Barrier. Turns out I was mostly right with my predictions for this fight. Dugong spams Rest and allows me to set up all 3 barriers without any issues. However, when I switch to Surf to take Dugong down, it retaliates with an Aurora Beam. That's honestly a bit confusing since I didn't think it would attack me at all. Maybe there's a slim chance of using a move that is not very effective. Either way, it's pretty strange. Cloyster is awful as always, landing a Supersonic. Tentacool hits itself in confusion a bit, but we managed to take the Cloyster out without too many issues. Slowbro's next, and I'm not excited about this one. It starts by setting up Amnesia as I thought it would. I attack it with Double Edge and deal around 1/3 of damage. After 2 turns of Amnesia, it switches into Psychic and takes us down in a single hit. That's really not good. Let's try again. On my second attempt, I adjust my strategy slightly. While I can still set up on Dugong, I'm going to try to use a special move versus Slowbro on the first turn that it's out. Hopefully this can allow me to deal more damage than Double Edge, avoid the recoil damage, and hit before it starts setting up Amnesias. Funny enough, Dugong goes for a takedown this battle. I'm not really sure what the AI is doing. It's clearly prioritizing Rest, but not always using it. Maybe they did improve the AI for Yellow version. Cloyster goes down after using a Spike Cannon against us. It only hits twice, so we go into the Slowbro fight with decent health. Surf does way more damage to Slowbro. I'm really happy about that. It allows me to take it down the very next turn. Double Edge is the move of choice versus Jinx. Strangely enough, it doesn't go down in a single hit. I was so sure that it would. It uses Double Slap, and Double Slap hits 4 times. Come on. Lapras is next, and I'm really not feeling this. My health is so low, and it's most likely going to use Body Slam. Our Surf deals just under half damage, and we tank a Body Slam. Luckily, our barrier setup is really paying off now. Our second Surf puts it into healing range, and Lorelei wastes her turn by using a Super Potion on Lapras. It's hard to tell, but I think I'll be able to take it down with 1 more Surf. I use Surf, and it does take it out. I've made it past Lorelei. Bruno's gonna be easy. I'll speed this fight up, just so it isn't too boring to watch. Ice Beam can one-shot both Onyxes, and Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee go down to a single Surf. Against Machamp, I was pretty sure I'd need 2 hits, but it turns out this isn't the case. Tentacool's special stat is good enough at this level to take Machamp down in a single hit. Agatha has been really hard the last few runs, especially with Zubat and Butterfree without special moves. I'm looking forward to what I think will be a fairly straightforward fight versus her. The strategy is simple. Just use Surf to take down all of her ghost Pokemon and Arbok. Use Ice Beam to take out the Golbat. In the first few turns, I actually luck out in a major way. Gengar paralyzes me with its Lick. Now you might be thinking, why did you luck out? Well, I'm paralyzed. I can't be put to sleep, and that negates the Dream Eater strategy entirely. Without Dream Eater on the field, Agatha doesn't have any moves that can deal large amounts of damage to me. After this luck, victory is secured. It takes me a bit longer to take her down due to paralysis and confusion slowing me down, but in the end, I do manage to become victorious. Lance isn't going to be a challenge. We have access to Ice Beam, which is super effective against 4 of his 5 Pokemon. Gyarados will take 2 to 3 Surfs to take down, but after that, I expect this fight to go very quickly. Gyarados does take 3 Surfs to take out. On the way, it hits me for a massive hyper beam. I'm very surprised how much damage that did. While I was very confident coming into this fight, I'm not sure how confident I am now coming out of the fight with Gyarados. Aerodactyl is going to be a huge pain in my side now. It has insane speed and might take me out in one hit. As you can see, his Dragonairs go down very easily, and Aerodactyl comes out. It outspeeds us into a fly. I thought that was it, but I hang on with 11 HP and land a super effective 4 times damage Ice Beam that takes the Aerodactyl down. Dragonite is 4 times weak to Ice Beam, and I outspeed it, which seals the deal, allowing me to progress on to Champion Butt. The Champion fight is very hard. I really wanted to defeat him at level 69, because I figured that was hilarious. I have a very low bar for humor. I think if I just used all my rare candies, this fight would have been significantly smoother, but I wanted to really push myself and see if Jelly could get it done at level 69. Let's get into it. Obviously he leads with Sandslash, so our best move is Surf. This consistently takes it down. Alakazam isn't so easy though. While Double Edge takes it into red, I can't take it down in a single attack. For that reason, I always go for turn 1 Ice Beam. The reason is that Ice Beam can end up freezing Alakazam, which means that I wouldn't take damage from Psychic or Psybeam. On this particular fight, I get insanely lucky. Part 1 of this luck is that I freeze Alakazam. After that, I switch to Surf and take it out for free, losing no health. This was the only time that this happened to me in many fight attempts. Moving on to Executor, I use Ice Beam and hit for super effective damage. It lands a Hypnosis, but in my second stroke of luck, I wake up the very next turn. Generation 1's sleep is never that gentle. Magneton is next, and it's extremely scary. Surf takes it to orange health in nearly every fight, and then it can hit a super effective Thunderbolt. However, in this run, I get my third batch of luck and land a critical hit against Magneton. I really can't believe that these 3 things all lined up in one fight. Funny enough, the luck continues, and I land a critical hit against Cloyster as well. It doesn't quite take it out, and then my luck streak ends as Cloyster hits Spike Cannon 5 times. This takes me down dangerously close to red health. I'm pretty terrified that Flareon might know Quick Attack and finish me off. It clearly doesn't, and I outspeed it, landing a super effective Surf. This makes me Pokemon Champion. I have beat Pokemon Yellow with only a Tentacool, and I did it at level 69. I'm very surprised how great Tentacool is. I picked it up a few times as a kid and always felt its moveset was so lacking. Now revisiting it later in life, it was really fun to play through the game with this derpy jellyfish. So I've planned a wild challenge next. I'm starting to look into Pokemon that will be significantly worse than the ones I've played through with already. One of those options is Voltorb. So coming up next week is a solo run of Pokemon Red and Blue with only one Voltorb. If you enjoy this content, like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Also, it really helps out if you share these videos with your friends. I'm just starting out here on YouTube, and I'd love for more people to see my content. I'm also curious if you have any ideas for challenges that I should do in the future. Also, did I miss anything in this challenge? Maybe there was something that would have made it even easier. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next challenge.